Greetings, Exiles! One of the few things that comes to the mind of almost every single Exile at some point is wanting to make a perfect Magic Find build. One that can do all content at the same speed of a fully min-maxed build while dropping the most amount of items as possible. For most of us, that idea is akin more to a dream than an achievable reality. However, it can be accomplished with some big investment and some help from legacy items. The result was a build that I always ended up chilling with once I got bored with the leak. The idea here is that you can run around with over 50 million damage and a bare minimum of 163 increased item quantity, which is something that will make your gameplay feels a bit more rewarding. Even Al Can Go maps no longer feel like a waste of your time with such build. Now, why is it that you need legacy items to achieve a great Magic Find build? The reason for that is that the current pool of unique items that gives you increased item quantity, some of them only give you that stat and hardly give you anything else, while legacy items can roll up to 20% increased item quantity on rare items, items that can roll other useful mods like increased life, increased damage, flat damage, and other stuff that we can get on any build. So as a start, a proper Magic Find build won't be considered good enough without a sufficiently fast ascendancy. And of course, that ascendancy can only be a Deadeye, mainly because it has a node called Gathering Winds. This is basically a permanent tailwind buff at 100% increased effect, basically 20% more attack, cast, and movement speed all the time. Next, we got some bow support nodes like Ricochet. This one provides us with +1 chain. For those who doesn't know, chain is the best projectile based mechanic in the game for increasing clearing speed. Next, we take endless ammunition for its +2 projectiles. Pretty simple. Last but not least, we have Far Shot. Yes, we are taking advantage of our long range attack in this build, and so we are not going to take point blank with it. And that was it for our ascendancy. Now, here we have a passive tree that I spent over a month min-maxing. It gives us the highest possible damage and survivability. It also includes 2 large cluster jewel setups. We mainly have them for increasing our socket count. They provide us with increased elemental and attack damage mods. They can be anything really, we just need the 2 additional sockets from each large cluster jewel. But with that being said, now we are done with our passive tree. Now let's get to the exciting part, itemization. Since this build can only be replicated on standard, well, due to legacy items, I decided to go absolutely ham on investment. Starting with our bow. It is a mirrored copy of the legendary Tempest Thunder. Now there are better alternatives that can give you up to 3 additional arrows, but this one is only valued at around 200 exalts, which is going to be way cheaper than the amount of currency you will have to spend if you wanted to get a copy of the best possible bow on the market right now. Next, we have Eagle Stinger Quiver. Unlike our bow, this one is actually best in slot option and the best elemental attack quiver in the entire game. The amount of damage it can provide you is absolutely ridiculous. I made a separate video about it while getting my copy, link for it is in the description. Anyway, now we move on to our first Magic Find item of this video. We have an amulet with 20% quant, crit multi, flat fizz, life, movement speed, and crafted auras. Basically everything we need as a magic finder. We have allocated constitution on this one since we already have enough damage in this build. Next, we have a pair of rings. Each one has 20% quant, life, flat fizz, crit multi, and a good resistance roll. After that, I crafted reduced mana cost of non-channeling skills and increased damage on each one of them. Now you can potentially get a quant ring with a curse, but I don't recommend that. The reason for this is that we are manually casting Sniper's Mark. Now, I know that some people doesn't like to cast that manually, but you should try that with faster casting. It is almost instantaneous and will give you more damage than any other curse in this game. Our next item is Pharaoh's Fur. This unique chest grants us a decent amount of life and our maximum number of frenzy and power charges all the time. That's in addition to removing Aspect of the Cat mana reservation. Aspect of the Cat grants us a buff that rotates between 100% increased critical strike chance and 50% increased attack speed. That's in addition to a small chance of avoiding all damage from a hit, which goes nicely with having high evasion rating. Our next item is a rare helm. Just like all of our other rare items, it has 20% increased quantity of items found, lots of life, and crafted Aspect of the Cat to take advantage of our chest piece. Finally, I decided to craft some mana and life regen and called it a day. I don't recommend crafting +1 pierce, since that will override your chain and your projectiles will never chain until they pierce. Our next item is Headhunter. Well, what other item did you expect for the slot? We have spent over 3 mirrors already. Come on guys, it was pretty obvious from the start. Now for our gloves, we have ones with lots of life, 20% quant, tier 1 tech speed, a good resistance roll, and additional added cold damage to attacks if you have dealt a critical strike recently. From here you can just craft whatever you want, it doesn't really matter at this point. Last but not least, we have a pair of boots, one with lots of life, lots of movement speed, increased quantity, elusive on crit, and lots of resistances. Getting as much resistances as possible here will allow us to invest into more damage on our jewels later on. And that was basically it for our items. Total budget? 4 mirrors to be exact, which is going to become 5 once I get a copy of a better bow in the near future. Anyway, let's talk about some gems now, starting with our main 6 link. We have Ice Shot. Ice Shot inherently converts 60% of its physical damage to cold, and you can get the remainder 40% from your passive tree. This negates the hassle of having to get something like a Watcher's Eye with an additional 40% Fizz converted to cold while affected by hatred for skills like Tornado Shot. Next we have Awakened Cold Penetration, Awakened Elemental Damage with attacks, Divergent Inspiration, Hypothermia, and Increased Item Quantity Support Gem, which will be replaced with Barrage for bossing. Our next gem setup contains Hatred, Herald of Ice, Herald of Purity, Increased Item Quantity Support, Precision, and level 4 Enlighten. I'm running Precision at level 10, you might want to lower its level if you are running low on mana. Our last mandatory gem setup contains Sniper's Mark, Faster Casting, Life Tap Support, and Summon Lightning Golem. And with that we are basically done with our mandatory gem links. As always, feel free to utilize whatever sockets left for any gem setup you like. But for now, let's talk about jewels. Starting with our Watcher's Eye, we have 15% cold penetration while affected by hatred, and 60% increased attack damage while affected by precision. For the remainder of your sockets, they should be filled with as many copies of a jewel that looks like this one. Increasing cold damage not only affects your attacks but also affects your Herald of Ice explosions, which as a result will boost your clearing speed even more. Aside from that, having increased life and some crit mods is essential if you want to maximize your survivability and damage. Finally, for Bandit's Quest, we are going to help Alira as usual. For Pantheons, we go with the Soul of Lunars for the majors and the Soul of Aberrath for the minors. If you manage to get 10% to reduce Ignite duration implicit on at least 5 of your jewels, you will become Ignite immune with the Soul of Aberrath. And that was basically it for our godly Magic Find build. If you guys have enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like it and maybe even subscribe for more future build guides like this one. My name is Phoenix and I will see you all in the next video.